Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening and welcome to Time to Talk. Good evening, Faye. How are you doing?
Good evening, Rafael. I'm fine, thanks. And yourself?
I am very good, very good.
Happy to
Very
be here again.
same, likewise. Very happy to be here again, bringing a bit of, I guess, more confusion, maybe? No, hopefully more clarity.
Ideas?
Questions, reflections
Yeah.
about mediumship. If you stumbled upon us, what's going on here? This is Time to Talk. What is Time to Talk, you ask? Time to Talk is a program, a show, a conversation, a chat, an opportunity to bring ideas to be discussed, where Faye, myself, and sometimes some extra special guests talk about mediumship. The idea of Time to Talk is to have an open conversation about mediumship. Mediumship is a natural phenomenon, occurs everywhere since forever, and the idea is to bring this to a day-to-day approach with the naturality and the I guess the easiness that a natural topic should entail. We are together here every 2 weeks, 8:30 p.m. UK. Today we have episode 65. I'm going to get into that in a second. But before we get to that, let me say thank you to our broadcasters. First of all, Spiritist Society of London, SSL. Both Faye and I are members of SSL. SSL is a Spiritist group here in London dedicated to studying, practicing Spiritism here in the UK. We have online sessions and face-to-face sessions. If you'd like to know what's going on, you can go check our pages, like us and follow us so you don't miss out. Then BUS, the British, oh my God, today my English is broken. British Union of Spiritist Societies. BUS is a Spiritist federation here in the UK that tries to coordinate and bring together the different Spiritist groups that we have in the UK. SSL is affiliated to BUS. BUS also has a lot of information and events that the multiple Spiritist groups are organizing here in the UK, so go check their page so you don't miss out on anything. And last but not least, Kardec Radio, which is an institution bringing a lot of content in Spiritism in English, over 12 years now. Go check their page as well. Go check their app so you don't miss out on anything. Episode 65. So episode 65 starts with Know Thyself. Very famous quote.
Yeah.
Used left, right, center, up, down, northwest, south, east, everywhere. Because it's just such a fundamental provocation, I would say, that's been with us for such a long time. But today we are going to bring that to the mediumship lens. And we're going to say, Know Thyself, an invitation to mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Now, today's topic came from Faye. So I'm gonna go straight to her. Faye, tell us where the idea or the inspiration for this topic came from.
Well, it's all my fault. Well, it came from seeing that this maxim, this challenge, and a recommendation at the same time is ancient. You know, the Greeks said that.
Yeah, Socrates
Said that. Yeah. And and sometimes I was thinking that those that are lessons that appear to be simple are in fact they very simply address the most complex aspects of us and our lives, because it's an invitation for us to look into our essence, and in whatever it is that we do, whatever we may live, in any time that we may live. And that's, I think, particularly interesting and important for mediums, because the mediums are more openly, I wouldn't say more than other people, but at least more openly in touch and dealing with other people and dealing with influences in ways that most people will probably do not even think about. But because the mediums are interpreters, they are channels of communication. They're also subject to the influence of the communicator.
Yeah.
And it's ever so important to be able to tell the difference. As working as an interpreter many years ago, it was easy to get used to one person, to one mind, one subject, and so we worked so closely together that sometimes you could see the interpreters were sort of repeating the mannerisms of the people that they were helping to communicate.
Mm.
And because we got so close in mind and in topic and purpose to express one certain idea, that sometimes the idea included some gestures, some intonations, some things. It wasn't like a robotic interpretation. It couldn't be. If my boss was enthusiastic about his machine tool and he was talking to a client, I would have to express the enthusiasm. That was his, not mine. But anyway, it was my role to do that, the channel, to express enthusiasm, but not be the enthusiasm. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to express something without absorbing that myself and make that difference very clear. You see, and I think it's a parallel from real life, but I think it's something that happens to mediums, having to do this back and forth.
Yeah. I think there's something that we talk about a couple of times was many mediums that have doubts about, when they're receiving a message, if it's theirs or not. And I think we always go back to the same understanding, which is, well, first of all, it's normal. It's a normal thing, right? If you think about the way you received, when you're talking about receiving the message through your mind and being able to speak, the way you receive the message is through thought. So it's normal to question: is this my thought? Is this not my thought? And the only way to getting used to it and being able to identify that is understanding yourself, how you think, how you feel, where it came from. Because the better you understand how your thought process works, how your opinions, where they come from, the easier it is to identify when something is not coming from yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the know thyself.
Yeah. Another thing that came to mind, Rafael, I don't know what you think about this, is that the mediums, to do the work that they do, when you go through a training, because there's this learning of the ideas, of concepts, of teachings, philosophy, etc., techniques. There's also a sort of ethic, a code of ethics that goes with it, and I think that sometimes from the teachings of being careful and subdued and humble, it sometimes, as a person, as a medium and as a person, I think sometimes I wonder if there isn't a little of misunderstanding, in the sense that I said, well, being subdued, being humble doesn't mean to be absent,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that rejoicing, feeling joy is good, but being upset is also necessary when it's the case. It's just a matter of when you strike the balance. But I mean, being able to express, finding the ways to express one side and the other, and talk, and not let any of the extremes, become the norm of way of life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I was thinking about also the fact that as mediums start to work, get involved in different initiatives and so on, there might be different spirits that will give communication through them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really guarantee which spirits are coming to give a communication and when, and especially depending on the type of work you're doing, you don't know. So there's also an element here, which is that how do we control, if control is not the right word, but anyways, how do you control the content that arrives to you? The thing is, you can't control the contents that comes externally. So the best option that you have is to work in whatever is closest to you. What is the thing that you have more control? The thing that you are in contact 24/7. Yourself, your content, your questions, your patterns. And I think that is the control that you can have in terms of content. It's what is coming from you. Only understanding and having that very clear, solid, and comfortable. Because sometimes realizing what is our content is not comfortable, right? So getting comfortable with our own content to understand, okay, this is how I operate. These are my limitations. These are my patterns, and so on. That will help you. That will help you to understand when things come to you from the spiritual side, from the spiritual realm, what to do with it, how to deal with it. Is it the moment to give in? Is it not the moment to give in? Is it the moment to allow it? Is it not the moment to allow it? In that, if it's during specific activity, what's the best way of giving channel, let's say, to the spirit? How much of it depending on the spirit who is giving a communication, needs to be filtered out of respect for the group.
Yeah.
As an education to the spirit who is talking. All of that relies on knowing yourself. There's a link there, right? There's a link to knowing who you are, what you need to do, what you're there for, discipline that comes with it, the posture that you want to have, the approach that you want to have.
And what would you suggest if there's suppose, imagine that someone is starting in that training and they will feel peaks of joy or rage, for a person to allow that to happen, wouldn't that be too exhausting? Wouldn't it be a waste of energy maybe?
Yeah,
Could
I think so.
they control that?
But that's the thing, right? They can't control that sometimes. It's so good that you gave this example, because I don't have like an extensive mediumship that I know, but I can definitely feel. I definitely have the intuition, and there are moments where that it hits me, and I can easily understand if it's coming from me or not, because I search for the cause. Why am I feeling this way? Why is this sudden change? And when it's positive, it's great, because I know it's a good presence, probably here to help me, probably here to guide me anyways. But when it's not, I'm very aware that if I am feeling it, there's an opportunity for me, first of all, to identify it, try to isolate, but also try to help.
Yeah.
Either through a moment of reflection, a moment of prayer, a moment of meditation, a read of a page. I can't do much more than that. But what I can do is, what I need to know how to do is, in that situation, how do I deal with this without cutting completely that feeling? In many cases, I will not have the option, but also allowing, taking the opportunity to help. Sometimes all it takes is a prayer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as easy. It's not enough.
No.
How about you? What do you think?
Yeah. I think it's the same in the same line of thought. I was thinking that if we can manage to ask ourselves a simple question, well, there's plenty of reasons, for example, to be upset about something. Things happen. Now, is it worth being so upset that that's going to put me in trouble? That's going to make me more exhausted, lose my focus, waste my time around something that I simply cannot mend, something that I can do nothing about. I can feel it. I cannot pretend it didn't happen. I can feel it. I may disapprove, but letting that escalate to a point of rage and to get so upset that my day is lost, the hour is lost, the focus is lost. What for? And yet, that sort of vibrational wave does come. It is felt.
Yeah.
But if we stop and think about it, and then to observe it, try and observe it more objectively, I think we see that what belongs to us and what doesn't. It's funny. I was listening to a teacher. I'm always listening to different teachers of everywhere because I find it fascinating. And this person was saying, well, you've got to be aware of what constitutes you, yourself, your essence, your nature. Because whatever is around you and whatever it is that you acquire, it could be a knowledge, an experience, bodies, cells, ideas. These are things that gather around you, but they're not you. Ultimately, they're not you. So likewise with the mediums, we can get lots of influence and ideas and moods around us. And we have to be cool enough to say, well, yeah, but that's not me. Yes, true. I don't think I think a certain event was fair or unfair. You know, that's not me.
Yeah, I think you're saying something that is very. It's such a practical lesson, because we say a lot about the development of mediumship. It takes studying. Not it takes studying, but studying is important. It's fundamental to understand how things work and so on. And we usually associate studying with a curriculum, a content, right? But in reality, there's studying related to ourselves, to our behaviors, to our emotions. And imagine, well, I love the example that you're bringing out, Faye, because you're talking about self-control, the ability to process your emotions. Because only by learning how to process your own emotions, you will be able to, once you are in contact with a spirit who is unbalanced, who is upset, who is desperate, who is angry, you will be able to use the same mechanisms that you use for yourself in your body to help that spirit to also come out of that crisis.
Exactly. Yeah, I just had this image of if you think that if everyone who's had a younger brother or sister, a younger sibling, or a younger child, that happened to be afraid of something, afraid of the dark, yeah, and they would jump to your side or jump into your bed, to your side because I'm afraid of the dark, and it wouldn't help this little one. In my case, if I felt just because of their fear, if I felt just as fearful, they wake me up because they're afraid of the dark, and I would jump into the same panic, and I wasn't. So why would I? It wouldn't help this little one at all, would it?
Yeah. No.
And I remember feeling a very real situation with my young son. He was only 4. He sat on his bed. It was dark, and he says, "Mom, who's that granny sitting over there?" And I tell you, whenever I talk about it, the hair at my back goes up because I don't know. I couldn't. It was a split second when I thought, "Don't panic. You can't say. You don't know who that is. You can only hope it's a very good visit, and he's not scared, so you can't be scared. You can't. Don't you dare." share of fear.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is what happens.
Here's a question. How do you know that was your own realization, or there was somebody telling you, don't panic, this is a learning opportunity for you?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And every time I think of it, I feel goosebumps. Even now, that was 30 years ago. but and also when we are doing mediumistic work and giving the opportunity for others, the spirits, to speak. I've heard somebody say, "Oh, but you switch on and off so quickly," and you learn to switch on and off so quickly, because if I feel a certain very profound sadness, it's not my sadness.
Yeah.
Once the case is solved, even if I felt really, I said, "Gosh, what a sad story that was." It was.
Yeah.
Not even for that person, it isn't anymore. So it mustn't stay with me.
Mm.
It stayed with me as an experience, as a knowledge.
Yeah.
But not as something that's incorporated that'll make me depressed for the rest of the night. No, I can't do that.
You are bringing a very, very important point, because it is very common that people, search for spiritism and so on when they are mediums and they are unbalanced, if that's the way of saying it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the keys to bring it to balance. And we see that as we are developing mediumship in the sessions and in the meetings, that if you are not allowed to separate, remove, that affects you, because you don't have the training, maybe the muscle trained enough to distance yourself from that feeling and emotion. Because as you said, these are moving situations in many cases, right? And just like we are moved by a sad story of somebody who's close to us who's going through a difficult moment or whatever it is, that's the same thing. So, but not only you are in contact with that story, but you're also feeling what that person is feeling. So for you to be in a position where that is balanced and you can remove, you need to be able to connect to what is yours and what is not.
Yeah. Yes.
It takes development. It takes intention. It takes reasoning. It takes thinking.
Yes, and it takes trust in the people that we are working with.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously we're not doing this on our own. It's not. But it takes building this trust and the bond with the people who will be around. So if I were to work with you, I would be absolutely sure that you would be there. You would have my back. You'd be supporting me and helping to direct that person to a balanced state of mind, so that that person can be helped, because the imbalance doesn't help anyone. And perhaps what you, I wonder, then it's a question to you. I wonder if the initial difficulty, and sometimes if people can find it a bit overwhelming to be exposed to so many different emotions. And by the way, I would like to point out that not every emotion, when we do a mediumistic work, the contact with spirits, not everything is sad and gloomy and no. Some people can be inquisitive. Some people can be cheerful. There are all sorts, like people from all walks of life. You've got you jump from extreme despair and loneliness to someone who feels elated because at last somebody is talking to them. So there are different things, but when people are in their own lives, if they are used to living between or shifting from extremes, either being too happy or too sad, too up or too down, that's exhausting. And the extremes prevent people in general, I'd say, correct if I'm wrong, they prevent people or distract people from being objective about whatever it is that they need to address.
There's another, yeah, absolutely. There's another issue related to this and that development of the self-awareness and the control of your emotions and so on, self-control, which is if you are unbalanced and if you don't learn how to control that, or how to control is not the right word, how to deal with that, which comes from dealing yourself first with you, understanding you, so you can also deal with what is not you. Spirits, they might take advantage of that, right? Just as you were saying, that there are all sorts, all walks of life, right? Spirits are just as variable as us here, human beings incarnate. So in the same way, there's people that want to do good and people that do not want to do good. And spirits that might not want to do good, they might take advantage of a medium who is not yet prepared to deal with that skill, the ability. So it ends up creating a risk for the medium him or herself.
Yeah. It's funny. I think it's good that so much is being said nowadays. There's so much more awareness to healthy states, physical state of mind. So it is also extending this healthy approach. And what is it? It's one that doesn't go to any of the extremes, so that it's being self-destructive. Even to the one who's there and waiting for that opportunity. Because even if the person that we are helping, that we are giving this opportunity to as a medium, if they're too lost in their own emotions and things, they'll miss the opportunity. So they'll have to wait for another time. I don't know how long they've been waiting. So, yeah, the problem is it is our job to try and help bring that person to a healthy enough state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
so that they can help themselves, they can express themselves and be helped.
Mm-hmm. I want to do a 90 degrees, not 180, just 90.
Sure.
Different direction.
Hmm.
And as you got, I know we were talking briefly before we started today, and I want to ask a very directional question, which is that the element, the value of knowing yourself.
Yes.
How does that, or how do you think that affects or influences or talks to? I'm going to use a maybe too heavy word, the responsibility of mediumship.
Yeah.
That comes with mediumship.
I think there is, as much as I don't know if I'll be in the same frame of mind as of your question, so please correct me always.
Yeah.
I think that there are different ways for people in general, but just as we say that someone who's becomes a workaholic gets to an excess of work and lives the sense of responsibility and forgets about their own well-being.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that for mediums it wouldn't be any different,
Mm-hmm.
because you cannot. I won't say you. Okay, it's me. I cannot understand being so infused with this, with the sense of duty, and identifying myself with the sense of duty. I cannot be a duty in the sense that I let every other aspect of life simply slip through my fingers to the point that it becomes detrimental to my own existence.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the idea of work till you drop is wrong. Work till you die is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got to know the point and observe it with the same rigor. The point, we have to say, no, that's enough. This is my threshold.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, this is where I should stop.
Yeah. I like this perspective. Because me going back to the word study, the more we study, the more we understand how much actually it takes to work with mediumship in terms of energy, in terms of the donation of fluid, the donation of energy, right? And how that affects your body. At the end of the day, you are a physical body as well, and you need to look after that. So I like that perspective. But
yes,
but the hook that I was trying to use to fish was
sorry.
no, but I like this because that in the end shows something that is it kind of, I can bring that together, which is you should know, or we all should know, should try to at least map what are the tendencies that we have, right? If we are the ones that like take things to the extreme always, to the point that we compromise of physical health and so on. That is a tendency that we need to understand, that we need to address.
Yes.
If we identify in the same way that we might have that tendency, we might have other tendencies, which is not be very careful with my free time, my social environment, the habits outside and my family or my work or this and that, or so all of these things, the substances that I like to use or what I like to do with my free time, how that affects me physically, mentally, emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to say in between lines is that the healthy or unhealthy habits that we have, they are unhealthy in all aspects, physical, mental, emotional, psychological, all of them.
Yeah.
They are signs, they are indications of our tendencies, of what we need to work on, or where we need to be a bit more aware or intentional or disciplined, or develop resistance so we can do something. So those are the things that we know. We all know. If you don't need to think about too much to understand what are the things that they're not quite right, but you still give in and you still do it because it feels good or because whatever. But that maybe you shouldn't. Maybe it's probably not in your best interest in the long term. We all know that. However, those things, if they are not kept in check or if you're not trying to tackle them, they might be things that in the long term will misguide you, will move you away from a path where you could use, and dare I say, should use your mediumship to help others.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the element of responsibility that I was trying to get to. That is an element that you can only rise to the occasion if you are aware of the tendencies that you're going to have to fight to make sure you do what you should be doing. Otherwise, you have missed opportunities.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're very right there.
Does it make sense?
It does. Oh yes. And we see that in various occasions, not only at meetings and your opportunities, when you have people saying that they feel that they're more inclined to develop their mediumship, or they feel that they are sensitive in one or more ways, and perhaps that ability could be put to good use, not only from others but for the person themselves, because this means there's an amount of energy that needs to be used and needs to be used wisely, isn't it? So it's like it's so easy for us to talk about. Let's talk about children again. They've got lots of energy, so they need the space to run and do something and be active and feel they belong, so that they feel balanced and happy again. With the adults, it's not very different. With mediumship, it's not very different. We need to find the ways to express it and practice and develop and cycle and recycle that energy. And we hear that in many books and novels and studies, don't we?
Yeah.
About the opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another element that is coming to mind, which is it's not just the tendencies that might end up getting on your way, but your tendencies, if you're not aware, and if you don't have a clear objective towards how you're going to use your mediumship, and if you are truly committed to something, what are the things that you might have to give up so you are in the right shape mentally and emotionally to participate and take part, etc. If your tendencies, they are not just there in that moment where where it's a bit too difficult to resist, but they also might end up influencing the decisions that you make in your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you make decisions based on your tendencies that go against what you need to put in place, what you need to prioritize to be involved with mediumship work and so on, then you start to see, again, missed opportunities. So it's layer on top of layers, right? All coming back, always a unfolding of issues that come out of not knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is sad. We see that in our books and lessons in many ways, that it's always somehow mentioned that the people are born as in case of mediumship. I'm not talking about other, but in our area, they're born with this sort of commitment, training in a commitment to incarnate and live here and develop as a medium and operate as a medium as much as possible. Perfect. Some people do it fully, some people not so much. Some people simply give up and decide not to. What I find that is important to remember is that if we do have this commitment and if we have the ability and the need to work as mediums, we're also inserted in this environment. The environment requires a few things as well. It requires other kinds of levels of commitment, of levels of duties. And so, in my view, to be a medium, you can't simply forget that we are in the physical world and say, well, I'll do this, my spiritual work. No, the spiritual work reflects, is on top of what we have to do anyway.
Yeah.
And it's enriched by what we do and how we live with life. I really don't believe that suppressing our nature, our physical nature, will be helpful in any way. Unless, if I had an army of citizens to do all the jobs and everything, I had all the chores for me, maybe I could use more of my time.
Yeah.
But it was not. I'm not Cinderella.
Yeah.
This is not reality. Reality is, I'm born here just like most people, with lots of chores and things to do to guarantee our life in this society, in this planet, this country, and take whatever I can to help in other ways as a medium. Because if I neglect this one, the other won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because in order to work as a medium, to be a medium, be able to say, okay, I'll set these hours to do this sort of mediumistic work, I need to have everything else in place. And that's me. It's my sense of who I am, what I need to make this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's why, I'm going to just do a parallel. That's why this is well, let's go back to know thyself.
Yeah.
That's why know thyself is such a jam. It's such a jam because if you think about not only what Spiritism brings to us and proposes, which is put that at the center of your development to become a better person from a moral perspective, regardless of mediumship or not. We're talking about as a plan for life, as something to give you the direction in your life, regardless of anything. Is like improving yourself by knowing yourself. And if you think about that, this didn't come from Spiritism. Jesus talked about that, and before Jesus, Socrates talked about that. So this is something that transcends religion, creed, philosophy. This is something that it just is. Right? And I think that's why it's such a gem. That's why it's such a gem.
Yes. How could I possibly expect to know where I should work, what needs improvement, if I don't know what is, who I am?
How are we going to improve if you don't know what bothers you? And what I mean by that is not putting, the guilt on the other, the fault or the responsibility on the other, because in the end, it's your reaction. So it's at the center of moving us forward.
Yes, and how much is it that of what I think and what I do? How much is it a reflection of those that I look at and I say, oh God, I like so much that bit from that person A and that bit from person B. I'd like to incorporate that to me, or I simply absorb that and echo something because I'm not too sure of myself. So I'll probably just go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's their flow, not mine. How much am I following my own nature? How much am I allowing my nature to express itself? To see, so that I can see, it probably carries misconceptions from from previous experiences. And then I can say, oh, well, I've come to this point thinking like that, but in hindsight, perhaps it could have been different. Well, with what I know now, then I've got the tools perhaps to change this trait of my personality, of my nature.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. We are getting close to our time, so Faye.
Yes.
One last question then. What is the word of advice or the reflection that you would share coming out of your own experience in that topic that you would share, would give to others?
I think is the first thing is to if my experience can serve anyone as a food for thought, would be that from being very reluctant, because I wasn't really sure of where I was whether I should or could even work as a medium or not. I thought it would be best to listen more and trust more the views of others, assuming that I trusted the integrity of the people who were talking to me, and follow their guidance, their honest guidance, to point me in ways of what I should develop, and perhaps things that I should reconsider, and not be afraid of being invited to reconsider something or develop another aspect. In other words, to develop the courage to ask questions and talk, and not bottle up the doubts,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so easy to hold on to a doubt and wait to see if it solves itself there at the front. It's more likely that it will so deviate from where it should be, and to correct a huge deviation is much more difficult. So don't bottle up. Just don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to express the things you like, the things you don't, and the things you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the only way people can understand where we are, or who we are, and we can see who we are. To move on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I was thinking about what my advice would be. I must say first that if I am in the beginning of my journey of self-knowledge or self-awareness, such in the beginning, and it's because I'm not a reflective person, in the sense that it doesn't come naturally to me to think about a situation and the way I reacted, the way I felt, the way I thought. So I'm only in the recent past, started to make the time for that moment of reflection. And it's not something that comes naturally. It's something that I need to consciously stay. So like I need to take some time to think about, this happened this week, and this bothered me, or this made me feel different way, or without that forced moment of reflection for me, it wouldn't come. Like the realizations wouldn't come. I wouldn't see the pattern. I wouldn't see the repetition of things.
Interesting.
So it's that make this space for the reflection about yourself.
Yeah.
I'm learning. Good.
Yeah.
Look, our time is up, so let me just quickly share our announcements before we say goodbyes.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah. Right, quickly. Oops. I lost Faye. Oh, she's back. Right. Quick ones. Spiritual Light. We have Spiritual Light every Wednesday with different guest speakers with different topics. So make sure you tune in on the Buzz YouTube channel. And on Saturdays, we have our Mediums book study group by SSF. If you'd like to join us, you have the details here for the Zoom call. Starts at 10:30 a.m. UK time. If you to join us, we're going item by item, opening for discussions, conversations. So join us. Faye.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Today was a great conversation. I
Thank
feel
you.
like
Thank you.
I felt good about it. I felt good about it.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
gonna take some reflections to my moment of reflection.
Oh, likewise. Same here. Same here.
So thank you very much, Faye. It was a pleasure as usual. Thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Hope to see you all. Hope to see you again, Rafael. And good guys. Goodbye. Bless you all.
Goodbye.
Okay.
Ciao.